Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. For today, we will talk about teaching with contrived experiences. Edgar Dale once said, "We teach through a rearrangement of the raw reality, a specimen, a manageable sample of a whole. When the direct experience cannot be used properly in its natural setting. If, for one reason or another, we cannot employ direct experiences as materials for instruction, let us make use of an edited version of direct experience, and that is the contrived experience. Now, what are contrived experiences? The models of the sun or the atom, the globe, the planetarium, the simulation election process, and even preserved specimen in museums fall under contrived experiences. And that is on the second band of experiences in Dale's cone of experience. When we say contrived experiences, these are the edited versions or copies of reality and are used as substitutes for real things when it is not practical or not possible to bring or do the real thing in the classroom. These contrived experiences are designed to simulate real life situations. Well, we have different kinds of contrived experiences. As you can see in the diagram, we have their models, mock-up, specimen, objects, simulation, and games. Now let's take one example at a time. Let's start with model. A model is a reproduction of a real thing in a small scale or large scale or exact size, but made of synthetic material. It is a substitute for a real thing which may or may not be operational. Say, for example, an atom or the planetarium. Next, we have mock up. According to Brown in 1969, it is a prepared substitute for a real thing. Sometimes it is a giant enlargement. My dear students, a mock-up is an arrangement of a real device or associated device displayed in such a way that representation of reality is created. It may be simplified in order to certain features. In fact, it is a special model where the parts of a model are singled out, heightened, and magnified in order to focus on that part or process under study. In such case, a planetarium may also be an example. Next would be a specimen. For all we know, a specimen is any individual or item considered typical of a group, class, or a whole. Usually, you can find preserved specimen in museums as exhibits. We also have objects. An object may include artifacts, just like specimen, which may be displayed in museums or displayed in exhibits, like preserved insect specimens in science. Sometimes specimen and object are interchanged. So here we have simulation. As for simulation, it is actually a representation of a manageable real event in which the learner is an active participant engaged in learning a behavior or applying previously acquired skills or knowledge. For example, election of class officers, or sometimes fire and earthquake drills are conducted in schools. So these are examples of simulation. And also, we have games. All of us enjoy it. And games are actually used to serve these purposes. First, to practice or to refine knowledge or skills already acquired. It can also be used to identify the gaps or weaknesses in knowledge or skills, or serve as a summation or review, and to develop new relationships among concepts and principles. Now, why do we make use of contrived experiences? Well, for some reason, we use models, mock up specimens, and objects to overcome limitations of space and time. Sometimes preparing or finding real objects may be time consuming, so we are bounded by it and we are limited. So it's best to just use some models or mock-ups maybe. Next, to edit reality for us to be able to focus on parts or a process of a system that we intend to study. So, like what we said earlier, if it is not possible to provide direct experiences, if we can give them the experience of reality, maybe we can edit it so at least to redirect the experience of the students without sacrificing their learning. Third, to overcome difficulties of size. Of course, there are some things that we really cannot accommodate, especially with sizes. Some may be too big, too narrow, or too tiny and too vast. Next, to understand the inaccessible. If the lesson is about space, if the lesson is about the solar system, of course, we cannot bring the planet Saturn or Mars here in our classroom. So it is best to just use some of the models. And last would be help the learners understand abstractions. We use contrived experiences to make the students generalize, right? To help them facilitate the generalization of learning. And as for simulations and games, here are the 10 general purposes why we are conducting simulations and games. The first one is to develop changes in attitudes, to change specific behaviors, to prepare participants for assuming new roles in the future, to help individuals understand their current roles, to increase the student's ability to apply principles, to reduce complex problems or situations to manageable elements, to illustrate roles that may affect one's life, but that one may never assume, to motivate learners to develop analytical processes, to sensitive individuals to another person's life roles, so that our students could be sensitive enough of the future and their roles in the society at present. And these are some of the reasons why we are using simulations and games in teaching. So always remember that contrived experiences are substitutes of real things when it is not feasible to bring the real thing to the class. We say that direct experience could really bring them the hearts on, minds on, and hands on experience. But, my dear students, if it is not possible, we should never sacrifice learning. There are some alternatives, and one of those would be contrived experiences. If you have any questions, you can comment down your queries in the comment box. And thank you so much for watching. Always remember that every day is a learning opportunity. This has been your Sir Romnick the Great, now signing off. Keep safe, everyone.